You see those mountains behind me? Those are young tertiary volcanics, andesites. Now, as a certified geologist, I can tell you right now that those hills over there have gold in them. How do I know? Because I researched the geological maps and I've actually had boots on the ground to determine where the contact zones are for the gold deposits. Now, before you put boots on the ground, I highly recommend you do the research first. And what that means is checking your MRDS. Those reports are going to tell you if anything had been found. Keep in mind, that's not a guarantee, because I found many gold deposits where they said it shouldn't be. But to give yourself a head start on finding that gold, I would definitely do the research at home first. You'll save yourself a lot of time unless you're a seasoned pro. And make sure you comb over the USGS reports. They're going to have vital information in there that's going to tell you the type of gold they were finding and how much of it. When you see quartz monzonite intruding andesites, you know you're in a good area for finding gold deposits. Get down to the bedrock. Washes are the best place to find that. Here you can see where I've got a lot of basalts, a lot of andesites, and I can see the intrusion of that quartz monzonite. This is the first place I would sample, is down in the washes down below the hills. If there's going to be any gold, a lot of it's going to be eroded out and down here, unless the vein is below surface. Another good indicator is pegmatitic quartz and chalcedony. Those two indicators out here in these volcanic districts is also a good sign. Already I can see exposures of andesite, and because it's green, that tells me it's chloritic andesite. That's one of the best andesites that I've ever found gold in, because the chlorite helps dissolve the gold, and then when it boils off during hydrothermal deposition or alteration, then it redeposits again. So look for those green andesites, especially if you have any kind of plutonic intrusions like quartz monzonite. On the outer fracture rings are going to be the best areas to find heavy mineralization, whether that's in stockworks or your fault gouge or your veinlets. There's that green chloritic andesite. See that quartz vein cutting right through it? Oh, isn't that beautiful? In these hydrothermal systems, you can see all the episodes by these lines. And this was probably just a small fissure at one time, maybe a millimeter, just enough for these hydrothermal fluids to seep in. And as the fault is active and starts to open, more fluids are released and come up through there. You see what they're looking for? It looks like a small silica vein with a whole bunch of vugs. I see some colorform and crustiform in there, multi-generational, and I'll get a hand lens on that and get a closer look. I'll break it open. I got sulfides in the yellow pocket, which is a no-brainer, and a little bit of native gold, not a lot. You can see these very well-defined terminated crystals growing in the vugs. That's always a good sign too. Now, when you hear me say crustiform or colorform, that's just a description of the type of quartz that you're looking at. Usually hydrothermal systems will have that description on it. Now, when you're talking about colorform, that's just the description of the really small nodule crystals that you see in these hydrothermal vein structures, the banding. And it's the same thing that you see in chalcedony, same structure. It's referred to as a cryptocrystalline quartz structure. I know that's a mouthful. And then crustiform is on the outer edges of the vugs where you actually see terminated crystals growing. That's all that means. Don't get caught up on it, but you will see it in a lot of your USGS reports. Unlike dikes, veins formed by minerals crystallizing out of water in a crack, often near the Earth's surface, and they often form near volcanoes or magmatic intrusions. Veins usually do not have chill margins like dikes do. Dikes can vary in texture and composition, as they can range from diabase or basaltic to granitic to rhyolitic. Dikes often form as either radial or concentric swarms around plutonic intrusives, volcanic necks, or feeder vents in volcanic cones. This rhyolitic feeder dike has a northwest strike traveling several miles, cutting through older chloritic andesite. Concentrations of hematite can be seen on this feeder dike, which means potential for gold deposition. Prospectors have sampled all along this dike, checking for gold values, but most of the gold here has been found in parallel veins that can be found on both sides of this rhyolitic feeder dike. Both the Gold Reed mine and the Comet mine have dropped shafts into these near vertical, highly mineralized veins and retrieved a lot of gold. I bet you that was a part of a head frame, because I can see a real old tiny shaft right here. See that? And I'll bet you this connects in with him. 50 bucks, but it's real tiny. Oh, I can feel air blowing out of there, so I know it connects. See this? It looks almost like a manway. But you can see the stoppage down there. It wouldn't be nothing to get into this thing. So obviously this one's got to connect. That's if it doesn't have a gate or a plug in it. Let's go take a look. More shearing. More infill. Look at this infill. See that? That silica infill. All the vugs. I wouldn't be surprised if I found fluorite in those vugs. A lot of spaces, manganese oxide in the mix. Big, huge monster pack rats living in here. Look at this. Oh, it's a huge community of pack rats. Man, nasty. And I see some more of that beautiful fault material that they're chasing right along here. Look at this little stall that they used for their ventilation pipe. And what do I see here? A small stope. Right there. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the end of it's right there. Another muck sheet, corrugated metal muck sheet. Timber. Yeah, and there's the end of it right there. All right, let's take a look at this guy. I'm really curious about him. Oh, yeah. See that? Oh, I hope the GoPro can capture this. But yeah, definitely. See the fault right there? And you can see the vein that they are chasing. And right next to it is fault gouge. You see it? And they obviously started stoping. I wonder if there's any good material in there. All right, I'm gonna get up in there and see if I can't pull some samples. Because this is what they were chasing, but it doesn't look like it's too rich or else they would have developed it. I want you to take a look at this. This material here, all this rough angler material along the fault, this is fault breccia. See that? And off to the side here, this is fault gouge. See the difference? And right here, I got some limonite that's forming in the oxidation zones. And so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pull this sample because that looks really, really good. Oh, come back here. All right, I'll go ahead and put this in my pack. And I'm gonna pull some more out. That looks really, oh, that's a good one right there. That's a good one. Not you. Oh, he's gonna fall on my head. He's gonna fall on my head. And I got crystals, terminated crystals, growing in this fault zone here. More signs of hydrothermal activity running through here. You can see the clear, distinct zone in this rhyolite. And then, of course, you have this green chloritic andesite. And you can still see little grains of pyrite in the andesite as well. Oh, look, there's a xenolith. I don't know if you can see it. And you can see a xenolith right there. Do you see it? Just means a foreign rock in the melt. Look at that vug. Isn't that beautiful? Almost looks like chalcedony. I might take that one and sample it, see if there's anything in it. Oh, look at this exploratory shaft. I know it's plugged, but it probably goes down another 15, 20 feet. Another aspect that I found out here was there was a lot of hematite staining, a lot of barite crystals, and a lot of mimetite. Mimetite is a lead arsenic chloride, and it closely resembles wolfenite. In fact, if you get it in your pan, it's going to be identical to wolfenite, and at first you're going to think it's gold until closer inspection. But it is beautiful. Now, they were finding also calcite, which isn't a no-brainer, along with copper staining out here as well. If you find all those in one particular vein structure, that's the best place to sample. And this is a good example of the vein structure right here. You can see I have this hanging wall here of andesites. I've got this silicified zone here. I've got this altered andesite here. And then over here, I've got a lot of the blacks, which are manganese oxide. I got a lot of barite crystal. I got a lot of hematite. And I bet you if I look into these bugs, I'm going to see copper staining and I'm going to find mimetite crystals. So I'm going to focus on this area right here. Now, before I take any samples like chip samples or channel samples, I'm going to run a VLF over it just to see if I've got any pocket gold in there. Because with these types of deposits, it's very common to have small, very rich pockets inside the vein structures. Now, you've seen me a lot with a Gold Monster 1000, but in this particular scenario, I would recommend the Gold Bug 2 over the Gold Monster 1000. And I'm going to tell you why. Now, the first thing you're going to notice when you look up the operational specs for the Gold Bug 2 is that it has a really high operational frequency range of 71 kilohertz, which is much, much higher than the Gold Monster 1000. And it's that high operational range you need when you're trying to find lode gold. The higher the frequency, the better chances you'll have of detecting out lode gold, because lode gold, generally speaking, is very, very small. And in fact, I would also recommend getting a Falcon MD20, which operates in the range of 400 kilohertz. And that's perfect for finding lode gold, but you have to know how to use it. And there's a secret behind it, and I've done many videos on it, and I'll make another video here in the future. So we're gonna have to rely on the Gold Bug 2 to sniff out any gold deposits. There's a nice silicified zone. You see the pockets right there? I got a pocket there And I got some pockets in here. This is the material I'm mostly interested in, and this is what I'm going to be checking. Now, another thing I got to tell you or warn you about is when you start hunting these districts, chances are you're going to go through a lot of trash and bullets, casings, because people like to come out here and shoot at these areas, especially if there's a road that goes to it. So keep that in mind if you're going to be running a VLF. All right, let's see what we can find. You want to get that coil right up against the rock surface, but be aware it's going to sound off when it bumps. Now I've got my detector tuned a little hot, which means that when I go down, it's going to sound off just a little. That way I have a better chance of finding that ultra fine gold. But keep in mind, it's going to get chirpy. That's nice. Right there. Hear how crisp that is? And it's in that pocket. So now we got to remove it. Now, for any of you out there that have ever done hard rock mining, you know exactly what I'm up against. But for you new folks out there, extraction is the hardest part. Finding it is the easy one. So I'm going to have to either chip this out by hand, use electric jackhammer, an air jackhammer, or if you have an FEL license, you can blast it out. Now I know this guy right here was sounding off, so I'm definitely taking this little pocket. You can either take the entire vein, or you can do what's called a channel sample, where you channel across the vein. Those are important if you don't know if the vein has gold in it. So what you're doing is you're channeling from the hanging wall through all the vein structure and back into the footwall. That way, if you do find gold, you can go back and try to isolate the particular zone where that gold was coming from. It's the fastest and easiest way to sample these hydrothermal vein systems when you're out in the field. These are the vugs that you're looking for. See that? I've got calcite, I got the mimetite crystals, and a lot of barite. Oh, and I got free mill gold. And of course, hematite in there too. Yeah, there's definitely free mill right there. I'm walking up this wash. And do you see anything unusual right here? Right where my finger is, you see that? Just gobs and gobs of black sand right there. Tons of it. There's a distinction zone right here. You have this coming in from this side tributary right here, see that? But nothing over here. This means that there's a tremendous amount of iron coming from up there. You see this? You know what that is? It's falling apart. It's decomposing biotite schist. When schist has a dominant mineral in it, that mineral's name will stand in front of the word. This is schist. It's got a lot of biotite in it, so we call it biotite schist. And biotite is a type of mica. You can always tell schist because you see the foliation in there, and all the banding. You can see all the mica in there. So don't be confused. Now there's a lot of iron coming down out of this side tributary. Remember I told you, walk the washes, look for the side tributaries. It's not always gonna be in the middle of the wash. Sometimes it's gonna feed from these sides. And that's what you should be doing too. See that I got a whole bunch of bedrock exposure right here. I've got all this beautiful looking granite. It's got all the pink feldspar in it, and of course the quartz and the mica and the hornblende. You can see where it's running almost perpendicular across the wash. This would be a perfect trap for gold, little tiny gold. And that's where these two machines really shine, because they're great at finding tiny, tiny gold. They're not good at going really deep, but they can find the smallest of gold in bedrock, up close to the surface. What I want to do is I want to get up further into this wash. And that's what you should do too when you start seeing large concentrations of black sand. Now that doesn't guarantee that there's going to be gold in there, because I found a lot of gold where there was no black sand whatsoever. But it is a good indicator, especially if you're in a gold producing district. Keep those words in mind. Do you know what that is? It's a piece of ironstone. And you can see where I have gneiss, and you can see right here. See the ironstone locked right up in there? That's always a good sign, right there. Look what I'm standing on. This is biotite schist. It's a schistose rock. It's metamorphic in nature. It's got a lot of black specks in it. You have schist in there, and you can have hornblende in there too. Now, in most cases, what you would do is you would start metal detecting at the bottom when you're working your way up. But me, I want to find out where those big chunks of iron are coming from. Even though you have gold down below, doesn't mean you have gold up higher. The vein could have eroded out millions of years ago, and what you got is the tail end of it. So keep that in mind too. All right, I got a big quartz vein up here, and it's heavy with mineralization. Come here, look at this. Here's the quartz vein I got right here. It's got a steep dip to it, and it looks like it's got a northeast strike to it. Now you can see the iron inclusions in there. That's a good sign. And the geology is looking real good. All right, so I found the source. Got a lot of schistose rock. I've got a lot of gneiss. I got some quartz monzonite. And then I've got these silica veins just loaded with iron. Look at that. That's where all that black sand is coming from in those chunks of iron. That's magnetite, and you got some hematite in there too. All right, let me set up the detectors. Look at my little bar right there. Remember, this one is nails and iron and trash. This one's gold. See how it's shooting over to the left? Now I can tell by the sound that that's iron. And it don't surprise me because it's a big old chunk of that silica vein with all the ironstone in it. See what I mean? So because I've got so much iron in here, I can use the discrimination button and see if I can find anything there. Now, I did a video on how to ground balance this, so I'll leave a link down below if you want to see that. You can just hear that iron. It doesn't have a definitive sound, more like a bong bong. Ooh, but that sounds good. Piece of iron. Yeah, I get used to that. Anytime you find outcroppings that have any kind of gold in them, clean up all around the bottom of them, because a lot of times the gold over 1,000 if not millions of years will leach out down into the soil. That's how they do soil samples. Collect it all up. That's an easy way to determine how much gold is locked up in there. So we're going to collect all this up. I'm going to pound some more vein out. We'll crush it back at the shop. But I want to see what we got here. Look at that. They got it all concreted up. They've been working the heck out of that. See, they went down and then they got a, looks like they had a little bit of a stoped out area. That's what I saw in the back. Cliff Patron. Cliff Patron, whatever that means. There's a vent tube on it. Somebody ripped this door clean off. Look at that. It's nice and warm in there though. And the reason why you do it this way is because it gives you a snapshot what's going on. And it's easier to pan when you classify, because if the same particles of sand and gold are in the gold pan together, then because of specific gravity density, the gold will win out over the lighter material every time. It'll stay behind while the water washes away the sand. I'm going to put him on there. I got him on a box. Hear that? Yeah, see how it ground balanced it out? Right there. Let's see what we got. Ooh, there's a good one. Oh, there's another one. Oh, yeah! No way! Yeah, look at that! I don't know if you can see that. Oh, look at that. Oh, yeah! That's what I'm talking about. I'll be crushing these up for sure. Yeah, that's nice. Take a look at that meter. Yeah. Alright, let's pan this out because now I'm curious. Jet dry breaks up the surface tension in the water. That way little fine gold doesn't float away. And yeah, gold does float when it's small enough, the surface tension. Think of a mosquito floating on the water. Alright, here we go. And yeah, you're gonna get wet. Look at all that quartz. Ooh, look at all that iron. That's what I'm talking about. Come get some, boy. Now I'm going slow because lode gold, which is usually fine, likes to ride on top of black sand. Let's see what we got. Let's see what we got, boy. Oh, I see it already. Ah, ah, look at that. Yeah, look at that. Ooh, look at that, a piece of specimen gold. And look at all the fines in there. There must be a million fines. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Ooh, let me wash that down. Let me wash it down. See them all underneath the black sand, all the fines? Ooh, I like that. Ooh, that's the one I want right there. Look at that. Look at that, isn't that pretty? You ever see anything prettier than specimen gold? I didn't think so. Look at that, right from the vein. I wonder what these look like in the daylight. If there's this much, I know there's more. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and run all this through a jaw crusher and then check it again. I wanna give a big shout out to a couple YouTubers out there that I have a lot of respect for who do this all the time. One is Tony out in Australia, Famo59. I'll leave a link to his channel down below. Don't forget we're giving away that 1 ounce nugget that we mined out of the drift mine, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And if you're not a premium patron and you wanna get involved with getting some of that gold, just click the link that looks like that. Click on it, make $10 pledge, and you might have yourself 1 ounce nugget too. Don't get any easier than that, does it? So I'm gonna get on out of here, because I gotta go back and get the rest of that gold, because I know where it's at. Take care, everybody.